Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. I got a review for you and I'm super excited to get into it, so let's do it. Alright guys, I'm really excited to get into this one. I actually really am enjoying this model a ton. You guys have seen the unboxing. You've already even seen the disassembly because I kind of combined the two of those. But now we're talking about, a little over a week later with this model. So I wanted to jump into it because I'm just really enjoying it that much. We are looking at the Vero Engineering Nova. So guys, this is just one that I really am excited to go over with you. Unfortunately, I don't think that at the time that this video gets published, it'll be available because I think either today or tomorrow there's going to be a limited drop with River's Edge cutlery. Hopefully, because it did so well, they'll be back in stock really soon, but I don't know exactly what the production run for this one will be. Having said that, some of the stuff that I'd like to do today is do some size comparisons. We'll check the weight out and then we'll go ahead and jump into it. So let's get a couple of knives out here for the size comparison. All right, guys, so you can see I have the Spyderco Para 3 lightweight down here for your small knife comparison, and then I have your Spyderco Manix 2 lightweight for your more full-size comparison. And you can see overall that the Nova is just a little bit bigger than the Manix 2, a little bit more girthy, just a beefier knife all the way around. But hang on, because we're going to do some profiles in a moment to check out the thickness on this one. I think that might interest some of you, but let's do a couple of more size comparisons really quick. Okay, so I did want to bring out at least one more girthier knife out of my personal inventory. So for the more medium-sized EDC, we do have the CJRB Echo down here as a point of reference. And then on top, I have the Padre from Kunwu. I really think this is a very cool comparison here. The Nova, just a touch more blade length from the pivot and a little less handle length from the pivot. Let's go ahead and do some closed profile comparison and check out the thickness. All right, so we have these closed up now, and as you can see, the Nova is actually kind of smaller than the Padre, but very similar in length to the Manix 2 lightweight. It is a little bit more thin in profile than the two of these, but if you're used to carrying these two, I think that's a really great point of reference. But one thing that I really liked about this one was actually the thinness of the knife. As you can see, it's just ever so slightly thicker than the Manix 2 lightweight, which is a very thin carry overall. And then we have the Padre here, and it is identical in thickness there. Hopefully you can see that. I know I got a little bit of a glare. It's hard with that flipper tab to get them side by side, but really close to that same thickness. Let me grab the scale real quick and we'll check the weight out. All right, scale is out and on. Let's check out this weight together, coming in at 5.7. How's that compare to the Padre? I'm just curious. 5.3, so a little bit heavier, and then the Manix 2 lightweight should be significantly lighter. Yeah, 3.5. That just goes to show how light those lightweights are. All right, let's go ahead and get the scale out of the way and jump into it. Alright guys, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is just talk a little bit about the experience I had while cutting with it. I did notice that it has been used a little bit before I started this cut test. I should disclose that. But I did notice that the belt satin finish, I think to get this level of belt satin to show up, it did have like a little bit of roughness behind the edge because it was moving through the paper fine, but it was kind of tearing a little bit in some spots. So I decided to go ahead and move forward, test it out on a little bit of the denim roll, and it worked really well there, guys. It bit into it. It had like not the sliceiest geometry that I've ever felt, but it was still pretty slicey considering the size of this knife and the way that it's built. That tall flat grind really helped it move through the denim nicely, and I was able to kind of get through that denim consistently because it has enough belly to start that dig in and then follow through on the cut. After that, I decided to go ahead and move over to the cardboard and start to move through that, and it felt like an absolute laser beam going through there. It was biting very nicely actually into that cardboard, slicing through it with ease. very comfortable ergonomically. I could feel the tip of the pocket clip as I was using the knife, but it wasn't anything of a hot spot or anything like that. I just kind of felt like it was there. Squeezing on it a little bit more to get it through that cardboard, it felt pretty comfortable. I didn't notice anything that really stood out to me. And getting up on the tip, it's a high drop point. What can I say? It's going to be a little harder to get up to that tip to get through those more detailed cuts and detailed work. Now, ergonomics, that is covered. It is comfortable. I very much enjoyed it. It's easy to choke up with, and then kind of get that thumb up there to detail control, and then you can kind of move back and wrap the whole hand around, and you got a nice hammer fist grip on it. And again, all this feels very comfortable. I don't notice any real hot spots. I can feel like the termination here, but it's chamfered down, so it's not hot or sharp. And then again, I can feel the edge of that pocket clip, but not hot or sharp. At lockup, we're looking at, I would say, about 30% lockup, and that's being generous. It might be less, might be 25. You got chamfering here, so it's nice and easy to get into that lock bar for the access, especially for the pull-up disengagement. But even the slide over and the insert here, I don't know what else to call that, are done relatively easy. I don't have any real issues with that. I don't feel any transition at all for the full-length backspacer that we have here that meets up the tang of the blade. You'll see this particular model, Vero actually added a lanyard. So this is the first model he's advertising as having the lanyard. And he actually is selling, I think, his first lanyard bead. I'm not quite sure, but he is offering alongside the release of this the lanyard bead. As you can see here, I went ahead and went with the belt satin finish, as I mentioned earlier. A little bit of roughness on mine, just tearing through the paper with the fine edge, but the other cutting was really well done. When I was finished, I was able to strop it up and just go through the paper really quick after a quick strop down there with a field sharpener, and it stropped up really nice with that. So I think if I were to be able to spend a little bit more time with my nicer strop, I'd be able to get this really dialed in. It didn't seem to suffer any through the cutting either. It seemed like the edge was holding up well, but I can do a more long-term update on this Magna Cut because it is 62 HRC coming from Bestech. I'm debating whether or not to send this over to Apex Alchemy to see if he can just test it to see. I think I've seen this being tested at like 62.5, so a little bit more than 62 that they advertise, but Magna Cut at 62 on a folder, I think is still going to outperform a lot of budget steels, and perform very well against its counterparts in that marketplace. I think 63, 64 really push it to be like a very superior edge retention. I think a little bit of the lower HRC adds toughness, but I don't think it really pulls down the performance for edge retention a ton. Would it compete with S90V at 62.5? I don't think so. I don't think so. With S35VN, possibly. S35 and S30 have really good edge retention, so it'd kind of be in that wheelhouse. I imagine this would probably perform more like what you would see from Vanex. If you like that steel, that's a good thing. I really like the opening pocket here that he uses. He doesn't give a full hole, but he does a pocket, and I've had no issues with deployment with it. It works very well. It also has a front flipper on here with big jimping, but it is aggressively sharp, so it does catch very nicely when you go to front flip, but it is a lot of knife in the hand, so you got to keep that in mind. And I am fully gripping hard onto that pocket clip with that front flip just to make sure that I'm not losing the base of the knife, but it is certainly a handful. It came with stamped bearings in the pivot, 6mm, 1/16 ball, if I recall correctly. Might want to go back and check the unboxing and disassembly video to make sure that I'm remembering that correctly. One of the mistakes I made is I thought this was a T8, but it actually is a T10. I actually slipped out of it a little bit with the T8 when I went to tighten it later off camera, and that's when I realized it actually is a T10. So my faux pas for not checking that first, and then everything else is a T8. Another mistake that I made too, I didn't realize it. I'm not sure when that happened. I didn't tighten down on the stop pin enough, and those actually came loose, and it was putting all the pressure on the pivot, so the pivot bolt was backing out. So I just wanted to check everything because I hadn't seen that happen before with a Vero where it backs out so easily, and that's where I found that I missed that. So that's something I kind of wanted to provide in this review alongside with that other information. I'm enjoying this one a lot. I know it's a very simple design. There's nothing really super stand out about it, but from a Vero, I think it has a little bit more curviness to it going on than what you typically see, with the exception of maybe like the Isotope. I really like that he's thinned this down a lot. It makes a big difference on carry profile, but also in hand, it's really nice as well. The action has broken in really smooth. Unfortunately, the dress kit that I ordered, I didn't realize it was a pre-order, so it's not here yet. So we'll do another video to update that. But this pocket clip works really well. I haven't had any issues with it. I thought it would catch on that relief cut, but it pulls out of the pocket fine. I haven't had it catch on anything to where I couldn't pull it out, and I've had no issues with the knife whatsoever, outside of the mistakes that I particularly made. Now, this is a very expensive piece. Vero is a third-party designer, and he's using Bestech as an OE, so those tend to be a little bit more expensive. So what I also like to do when I do these are some alternative recommendations. The first one, I'm going to pull the Padre back out here. The Padre coming in at $299 versus the I believe $85, and my editor might have to correct me here because I'm actually kind of blanking on the price with the belt satin finish. But Padre is a great recommendation here. You're going to get a lot of belly, good lower clip point than what you're getting on the Nova, and you're getting all of that for $299 because it's direct from the manufacturer, versus this kind of being like a third party. He has to pay a cost, and then there has to be a certain profit margin in order to be able to make more, put in new orders, etc. But you're getting Vanex here on the Padre, which I really do like a lot. It's a great steel, and you're getting diamond textured pattern on the titanium with a Damascus pivot. So I like that as an alternative. If that's still a little high for you, for about $50 less, you could go and grab yourself the Voss Steed Psyop. It's not quite the same. It's a little bit more slender, a little more gent-esque in its approach, but you do have a nice upswept belly, a very similar height on your drop point. You got an opening hole here, which I forgot to mention on the Padre. It has an opening hole with a little bit of a pocket below that. So a little bit of a different philosophy. These both have front flippers on them, which I think is great, and the top liner lock is super interesting. Again, this is a little bit more affordable because it is coming directly from the OE, but eventually, as Voss Steed grows in popularity, in order to be profitable, I imagine that you'll see a knife like this go up to $299 in order to be able to afford new models, be profitable, and not always rely on volume. But I do like that as an alternative. Overall, though, it is an easy recommendation. I think it's special enough to me. It's going to be rare enough. You're not going to see a ton of these around on the streets, and that is a little bit because of the price point. I think you can get the Stonewash for like around $360-ish, so that helps bring it a little bit closer to the price of that Padre. Action is great on this. Listen to these sounds. Very nice sounds. You got an integrated stop pin that's kind of merged here, or married, sorry, to the full-length back spacer. If you wanted to call it 3/4, I wouldn't fight with you, but I say full length because it meets the tang of the blade. Overall, I'm really happy. I like this one. I was super pumped. I was upset that I didn't pick it up at Blade Show because I kind of had non-buyer's remorse, because I was trying to be a little bit too good with not spending the money at Blade Show, but I am glad that I was able to secure one, and this is the exact version that I like the most. Let me know what you think about the Nova down in the comments below. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Are you trying to get one? Do you already have one? Let me know about your experiences as well. And if you're not into the Nova at all and you want to go down and comment, you can just leave a pocket dump. Let me know what you're carrying or what you like that's new. I love to hear all that stuff from you guys. Thanks for watching to this point. Leave a like on your way out if you could. It does help the channel. And don't hesitate to subscribe. I'd love to have you follow along with the channel as it grows. And a special thank you to those channel members out there. That extra layer of support that you provide is greatly appreciated. I hope you have a fantastic week. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.